Imagine a golfer who re-engineers his swing like a physics experiment, packs on 40 pounds of muscle in just months, and smashes drives further than anyone on tour. Now imagine that same golfer stirring up drama at every turn, arguing with officials, beefing with fellow pros, and dividing fans. This is the dramatic saga of Bryson DeChambeau, nicknamed the Scientist. In this video, we'll chronicle Bryson's meteoric rise, the controversies that nearly derailed him, and how he clawed his way back to the top. Love him or hate him, Bryson's story is one of the wildest rides in modern golf, and it's not over yet. Bryson DeChambeau wasn't your typical junior golfer. While most kids relied on talent, repetition, and instinct, Bryson relied on science. Growing up in Clovis, California, he was a curious kid who loved math, puzzles, and physics. Golf wasn't just a game to him, it was a problem to be solved, a system to be hacked. By the time he reached college at SMU in Dallas, Bryson had fully embraced that identity. He wasn't just another athlete on the team, he was the scientist. His college teammates would watch him scribble equations in notebooks, sketching out angles, launch trajectories, and ball spin theories. He wasn't thinking about feel, he was running experiments. And he didn't stop at theory. Bryson brought his scientific approach to his equipment. Most golfers used irons of different lengths, shorter clubs for control, longer clubs for distance. But Bryson, he flipped tradition upside down. Every single iron in his bag was the same length, 37.5 inches. Built to match his 7-iron, the grips were unusually thick, designed to quiet his hands and create a repeatable swing. To purists, it was heresy. To Bryson, it was logic. People laughed. They said it would never work on the big stage. But Bryson's results silenced them quickly. In 2015, at just 21 years old, he accomplished something only legends had done before, winning both the NCAA Individual Championship and the U.S. Amateur in the same year. That historic double placed him in rare company: Jack Nicklaus, Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods. Names carved into golf's history. Now Bryson's name was right alongside them. Overnight, he became golf's newest prodigy. He wasn't just talented, he was different, and that difference made him fascinating. By 2016, he turned professional, carrying with him sky-high expectations. And right away, he made headlines. Not just for his golf, but for who he was. He wore the old-school Ben Hogan cap, a nod to history, but then he'd talk about vector calculus and air density in interviews, baffling reporters and entertaining fans. By 2018, Bryson had backed up the hype. He collected multiple PGA Tour wins, climbed into the world's top 10, and cemented his status as one of the brightest young stars in the game. But here's the thing about Bryson. He wasn't content with success. He wasn't just trying to play the game. He wanted to reinvent it, to prove that science, logic, and experimentation could unlock levels of performance no one else had ever seen. And while the golf world marveled at his rapid rise, there were whispers, quiet doubts about whether his unorthodox style would hold up, and whether his restless pursuit of innovation might lead him down a more turbulent path. Because with Bryson DeChambeau, one thing was certain: this story was only just beginning. Then came 2020. The world had stopped during the COVID pandemic, but Bryson DeChambeau wasn't sitting still. While most players rested or practiced casually, Bryson went into full experiment mode. He saw the break as an opportunity to completely reinvent his body, and maybe even reinvent golf itself. He trained like a powerlifter. He ate like a heavyweight boxer. Reports say he was consuming nearly 6,000 calories a day, protein shakes, steaks, eggs, and endless rounds of food to fuel his workouts. Day after day, Bryson lifted heavy weights, obsessed over speed training, and chased one goal: to hit the golf ball farther than anyone in history. When the PGA Tour resumed, fans and fellow players couldn't believe their eyes. Bryson had added almost 40 pounds of muscle. His frame looked totally different. Gone was the lean golfer in the Hogan cap. In his place stood a bulked-up athlete who looked like he belonged in an NFL huddle, not on a driving range. And then came the drives. Bryson wasn't just longer, he was in a completely different category. He began smashing tee shots 40 to 50 yards past his competitors. Crowds gasped as his ball carried bunkers other players had no chance of reaching. On launch monitors, his swing speeds and ball speeds were off the charts, numbers golf had never seen on tour. By the end of the season, Bryson led the PGA Tour in driving distance, averaging over 322 yards per drive. But those weren't occasional bombs. He was routinely carrying the ball 350 yards or more. It was jaw-dropping, and it forced analysts to ask a serious question: had Bryson broken the game of golf? Skeptics pushed back. They said his transformation wasn't sustainable. Some accused him of chasing power at the expense of finesse. Others whispered about how he managed to bulk up so quickly. Traditionalists shook their heads, arguing golf was supposed to be about precision and strategy, not brute force. But Bryson didn't listen. He had a chance to prove his theory on the biggest stage of all, the 2020 US Open at Winged Foot. Winged Foot is one of golf's most fearsome tests. Tight fairways, punishing rough, and greens that have humbled even the best players. Most of the field took the cautious approach, hitting long irons and fairway woods off the tee to stay in play. That's what history suggested was the only way to survive. Bryson didn't care about history. He unleashed driver after driver, trying to overpower the course. Where others tried to avoid the rough, Bryson accepted it. His logic? If he was 50 yards closer to the green, he could muscle wedges out of the rough more easily than others could hit 7-irons. It was a radical strategy. It looked reckless, but it worked. Bryson was the only player under par in the final round. While the rest of the leaderboard collapsed under the pressure, he surged ahead, winning by 6 strokes. It was a dominant performance that stunned the golf world. The mad scientist experiment had succeeded. Bryson had proven that raw power, backed by science and calculation, could conquer even one of golf's most legendary courses. For a moment, Bryson DeChambeau was on top of the golf world. He had redefined what was possible, and fans debated whether the sport itself would have to change to keep up with him. But with fame came scrutiny. And Bryson? He was never one to hide from the spotlight. If anything, he seemed to thrive in it. And soon the storm clouds began to gather. Controversy seemed to follow him everywhere. First came slow play. Bryson's meticulous pre-shot routine, sometimes over 3 minutes for a single wedge shot, drove fans and fellow players crazy. Clips went viral. Pros blasted him on social media. Then came the feud. Brooks Koepka versus Bryson DeChambeau became golf's headline rivalry. Bryson mocked Koepka's body on a live stream. Koepka fired back on Twitter with his famous AB photo. Soon fans were heckling Bryson with Brooksy chants, so relentlessly that the PGA Tour threatened to eject hecklers. And the drama didn't stop there. He once demanded relief because his ball was next to a fire ant hill. He confronted a cameraman for filming his tantrum in a bunker. He blasted his sponsor, saying the driver sucks at the 2021 Open. By late 2021, Bryson's image was battered. His caddy quit. Critics piled on. He had become golf's drama magnet. The rivalry with Koepka hit pop culture levels. That viral clip of Koepka rolling his eyes with Bryson nearby? Instant meme material. Bryson sometimes leaned into the villain role, bragging online about living rent-free in Koepka's head. Other times, the heckling clearly got to him. Then came the ultimate shocker. Bryson left the PGA Tour for LIV Golf. The Saudi-backed league gave him a massive payday, but many fans saw it as selling out. His world ranking slid. Critics wondered if the once brilliant scientist had lost his way. But Bryson wasn't done surprising us. Every great story needs a comeback. For Bryson, it started at the 2021 Ryder Cup. He played joyfully, drove a par 4 green, drained an eagle putt, and celebrated with the crowd. The fans cheered, and in a feel-good moment, he and Brooks Koepka hugged it out. Slowly, Bryson began reshaping his image. He leaned into YouTube collabs, interacted with fans, and showed a lighter side of himself. After hand surgery, he rebuilt his game and found joy again. Then came history. In August 2023, Bryson shot a jaw-dropping 58 at LIV Greenbrier, his first win in 2 years. His confidence was back. But the crowning moment came in June 2024. At Pinehurst, dueling Rory McIlroy for the US Open title, Bryson hit a gritty recovery from a tree root, then drained a nerve-wracking 4-footer to win by 1 stroke. His second US Open, his full redemption. The golf world, critics included, stood and applauded. Bryson DeChambeau's journey has been anything but ordinary. From the very beginning, he stood out, not just for his talent, but for his refusal to accept tradition as law. While others played golf by feel, Bryson played it by formula. Physics experiments, single-length irons, thick grips, and launch angles. He built his own path in a sport that had long resisted change. But his story has never been smooth. Along the way, Bryson became one of the most polarizing figures in golf. He clashed with fellow pros, bristled with the media, and became the center of internet jokes and memes. For a time, it seemed like people were tuning in as much to see what drama he might stir up as to see what scores he might post. And yet, in the middle of the chaos, Bryson found a way to back it all up. His transformation during the COVID years, bulking up, chasing power, and breaking records, was as shocking as it was effective. When he lifted the US Open trophy at Winged Foot, he silenced critics who swore his methods could never hold up under major championship pressure. The mad scientist experiment had worked, but golf is never static, and neither is Bryson. He's been called a prodigy, a disruptor, a pariah, in a champion, sometimes all in the same season. His decision to join LIV Golf only added to the firestorm, splitting opinions and reshaping his legacy. To some, he betrayed the PGA Tour. To others, he became a pioneer of the sport's new era. Through it all, Bryson has remained unapologetically himself, unorthodox, relentless, obsessed with improvement. And whether you cheer for him or root against him, one fact is undeniable. Bryson DeChambeau makes golf more interesting. At just 31 years old, his story is still being written. There will almost certainly be more drama, more reinventions, and more headlines, maybe even more majors. But no matter what happens, whenever Bryson tees it up, the world will be watching. Because his saga isn't just about golf, it's about daring to challenge the rules, to risk ridicule, and to prove that even in a game built on tradition, innovation can change everything. So what can we take from Bryson's journey? That sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stay true to your vision, even when the world doubts you. That the path to success doesn't have to look normal, and that your quirks, your experiments, even your failures, can be the very things that set you apart. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep chasing your own wins. They might look different, they might look strange, but remember, the greatest stories are never written by those who follow the script.